Welcome to Sports Extra. I'm your host, Ali Gohar. Tonight, on the first half of the show, we're going to be speaking about something very, very important. The development of Pakistan cricket, how it developed and how it was made modern, how it became contemporary. So a very special book was written about just that between 1977 and 98, the untold story of the development of Pakistan cricket. It's called Another Perspective, and we're lucky enough to have the author here with us. So for 29 years, this gentleman was solely responsible for managing PTC's sponsorship of cricket, Pakistan Tobacco Company's sponsorship of cricket from 1977 to 1997. His name is Mr. Taher Memon. We're very happy to have us in the studio. We're very happy to have him in the studio with us. He's going to talk to us all about his book and how he managed to do all this. Mr. Taher Memon, thank you very much for coming on PTV World.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to be with you here and not only talk to you, but to your audience all over the world.
We're happy to have you. And we've also been joined by Colonel Naushad Ali, former test cricketer and former match referee, who also has some valuable insights about the development of Pakistan cricket. Colonel Naushad, assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum, Ali. Thank you very much.
And I should also say the second half of the show, towards the end, we have to talk about Pakistan's upcoming series against Australia, 5 one-dayers. We're going to be playing the Aussies tomorrow, and it's a new look side, so it should be quite exciting. But first, Taher Memon Saab, your book, Another Perspective. Before we get into the nitty-gritty and what the book stands for, tell me why you decided to write it now, because it was between 1977 and 1998. It took you some time, I guess, to collect your thoughts and put it all together. So why now?
Yeah, it's very interesting. You see, I left this country in 1999. I was headhunted to launch a television channel which belonged to PTV. It was PTV Prime that I went and launched in the UK and Europe. That took me there, and since then, I was there for 20 years. Within that 20 years, first 11 years were actually very hectic with the television channel business. Then I decided that it's time to now relax, come off the television news and this and that, and relax and make your own small consultancy. So when I came out of the television business,
right,
which was, as to some people said, कि जागने का business है, सोने का नहीं. So I came out of it. When I came out of it, I had all the time to sit back and go down the memory lane. I had my own archive in terms of videos, in terms of photographs, in terms of some magazines and other memorabilia. When I went through all that, I realized that I'll be wasting all that unless I do something about it. The first thing I did was to bring all the 402 video cassettes of 3 hours each to Pakistan Cricket Board, and I said, here is for your archive. Hold it, because before it goes off and before it's spoiled, let's record it on a disk which can last longer than these cassettes would do, and give me a copy of that. They took about 3 years to do that. And in the meantime, I started assembling my thoughts that no other documentation has referred to that period in terms of this development. Yes, cricket historians talked about the cricket as a game, cricket players' performances, teams' performances, our encounters worldwide, and all that was documented. But somehow or the other, this was a missing link. Nobody talked about how it developed in the country. We were a good team from yesteryears. From Fazl Mahmood's time, we were a top team. But it was at domestic level, it was not that thing. We went and performed elsewhere.
And that's where I want to ask Colonel Naushad, who's a former cricketer, and this perspective that Mr. Taher Memon has taken and has written about. It's absolutely crucial. Yes, it's fun to talk about great cricketers of yesteryear, cricketers now, and analyze their performances. But how it all started, how Pakistan cricket developed. I'm sure in your time when you first started, the idea of of sponsorship, especially of domestic tournaments and of course international games, it was unheard of.
Yeah.
So to bring cricket, to modernize cricket, to bring it into the contemporary world, and we saw how successful Australia were at doing that. This is also very, very important, and most importantly, it gives an incentive. It gives incentives to the cricketers.
Well, Ali, you're absolutely right. I think the way the Pakistan cricket started, there was no concept of what the sponsorship is. I mean, the players were paid was a very meager amount, and then cricket was played just for the sake of putting on the blazer, putting on the Pakistan camp, putting on the Pakistan blazer, and then they were all happy on that.
I'm going to let you complete your thoughts, but I just have to ask you, it just occurred to me, if you don't mind revealing this
please.
on air. Do you remember, for your first test match, do you remember how much you were paid, or if you were paid at all? Just so the viewers can understand.
Absolutely. I played my first test against New Zealand at Wellington in 1965. And at that time I was on the tour, but even on the tour I was paid, after the tour, that was only 2,000 rupees for a test match. And that time 2,000 rupees was nothing. I mean, it was something, but not as compared to what it is now.
Right. Okay, so carry on. You were talking about the importance of developing the game and how sponsorship was just something that nobody had any idea about.
Absolutely, there were no idea about that. I mean, players used to come for the practice, come for the matches at their own transport. They used to be given some sort of uniform, or you can call a cricket kit, but there was no concept of getting some money, getting some luxury of life, and then arguing with the senior authorities that we should be paid more. There was nobody to talk about all these things. And although we have had a tour of, say, for example, Pakistan Eaglets went to England in 1963. We were all youngsters. Like I will name the players; they were all great. Majid Khan, Zahir Abbas, and then Shafqat Rana. There are quite a few more who all made the Test cricket, but they're all there. But they were pretty happy that at least we are on a tour of England. Traveling to England was something big incentive on those cricketers, and then watching the test matches in England was another incentive. But I'll say one thing, that whatever it was, we were proud of it. We will very feel elevated on that.
Taher Memon Sahab, what Colonel Naushad Sahab is describing, you know, the concept of how should I put this? Marketing discipline, sports marketing discipline wasn't there. And that's something you managed to instill for quite some time, for 29 years.
20 years.
Yeah, so how did you manage to do that? How did you manage to instill that discipline?
I tell you, when I started off, from sponsorship point of view, I had no idea as to where and how things will go. But after this first test series of sponsorship, when we gave out Man of the Match and Man of the Series award, to them at that time was big money coming in. Any team before that has not seen that sort of money. Neither the concept was there. Even the concept of Man of the Match was given a shape by Cornhill in UK after us. We started in Pakistan the concept of Man of the Match. Having said that, the Man of the Match concept to the Pakistan team and to people at large, because the whole series, which was dull and dreary, if you think about that series between Pakistan and England, it was a dull and dreary series because top cricketers were with Kerry Packer.
Yeah.
And we had a team.
Both of them ran through Pakistan, yeah.
And then what happens is that when you have that sort of a thing, there is something to talk about what's Man of the Match. The Man of the Match award concept flew so big that my company and the people around the company, they thought we have something which we can develop on, we can really go about developing. And that's where my vision for marketing came handy. I realized that here it is, we can market sports very gradually.
Yeah, because I ask you this, I mean, one of your, I want to ask you about some of your biggest challenges, because in your book, one of the chapters is navigating uncharted waters, and that's what Colonel Naushad Sahab touched on. I mean, this was something that nobody had, they didn't have the foggiest.
That's right. It was, nobody knew where to go and how to go about it. But once I did it, the Man of the Match award concept, I knew where I'm going to go from here onward. I knew over a period of time I'll go into awarding this for continuity when my team is playing in England. So we announced it while they were playing in England, they were getting the Cornell Awards. When they came back, we gave them the Wills Man of the Match award. We had our own jury declaring our Man of the Match as compared to the Man of the Match declared by Cornell. They could be same, they could be different. Our views may differ with the Cornell views. So we started giving for continuity purposes. When the boys return home, they realize that the awards are waiting. So next series at home, they'll not only have the Matches award given to them, they'll also be given of the backlog. And then I introduced one more thing. I said the awards will be in the shape of a medallion. A medallion will be given to you so that you can inscribe your name at the back of it. The team, the player, the match, the dates. And those medallions work so wonders because they shine like a gold thing, as if they're gold, pure gold, but they were metal medallion, and which was real good memento. Even today, those people who've got the medallions,
I've got one with me.
The fact that he still has it with him.
And still not black, still not rusted.
Yeah, shining, gold
it's
shining.
Still gold shining, brand new. I did all that with a certain amount of passion to see that it longs. It has a longer vision. We're going to go ahead and do it. So from the Man of the Match in domestic tournaments, international tournaments, we went into Man of the Match in away series. Then we went on and said, at domestic, we'll not only be calling Man of the Match for test series, we'll call the test series as well series and give more money to the board.
We're going to get to the first Wills Cup in 1981, but I just saw Naushad Saab nodding there. We'll get to your thoughts, but you said something while Taher Memon Saab was speaking, that when you said, oh, I've still got my medallion. That just shows, I mean, like, let's go further, what the medallion means, what it represents, what it does for the player. That's why marketing and creating incentives is just so important for the development of cricket. It's good for the players, sir.
Well, I think a medallion, maybe it doesn't mean so much as far as the value or the money is concerned, but it used to be a sort of memento. It's visible, the day, the tournament, and the type of the player who has got it. All that was available on that. Then it was so very well polished, or maybe it's given the shape of gold, that it is still shining and shining in my showcase in the drawing room.
I'll continue with that. The medallion represents an acknowledgement.
Absolutely.
Our player is acknowledged by calling himself a Man of the Match. It gets into the books. It gets into the
and then it's
stats.
not going anywhere, and that's what gives players incentives.
It goes into stats. But what does he carry home? Does he carry a page of that stat? Does he carry a magazine? When he carries a medallion home, he then displays it into his study, in his drawing room, wherever, and then it builds up. I have people who claim, the test players, that I've got 27 of yours. 27 Man of the Match awards I've won. 38 Man of the Match award we've won. We started claiming in our books, saying, here's the list of the Man of the Match awards. So many Pakistani, so many foreign players. The foreign players will take it with a matter of pride because it's now a memorabilia available to them to display. So a player wants acknowledgement, to be seen, to be acknowledged. In the stats book, it is acknowledged, there's no doubt about it. But nobody finds it in this trend. But you go to his house and you'll find it on the things.
Yeah, it makes a player feel proud. That's why you still hang on to yours.
Well, I'll give you the example of Javed Miadad and Imran Khan both. They were the captains of that time. There was a race between the two to have the more medallions in their bag. And I still remember Javed Miadad used to have 21, 22 medallions available with him as a man of the match. And so were quite a few others. Salim Malik used to have so many.
That's right. But I tell you, not only that, when Zahir Abbas finished his 100 in first-class cricket, that was an occasion. Nobody knew. The moment we came to know as Wills, when I came to know, I said the first opportunity we'll give him a shield, saying, here's for you to take back home Will's appreciation with a 20,000 rupees prize money that you have done your hundreds in first class cricket. And when on an occasion of a dinner, when we called him in and he said, this is what we are going to do, he was
ecstatic.
ecstatic. He said, nobody ever thought of these things. We did the same to Gavaskar. He has 10,000 runs.
Right. Gentlemen, we'll pick up on your thoughts. This is a very exciting and interesting discussion. We'll continue to have it after a short break. Stay tuned. Welcome back. Before the break, we were talking about the development and modernization of Pakistan cricket, how it all began. It's a very, very interesting discussion. To see how it all happened is just fascinating. And we're talking about this with the author of Another Perspective. And Another Perspective was all about the development and modernization of Pakistan cricket. We're discussing it with the author himself, Mr. Taher Memon, and former Test cricketer Colonel Naushad Ali. Taher Memon sahab, in this book, there's a lot about the Wills Cup, of course, which were mainly which you had a core role in that. I want to know about the first Wills Cup.
Once we were in to the sponsorship of international cricket, the first thing I thought was international cricket is restricted to few weeks away, few weeks home. The rest of the time, there is nothing for continuity of the game for the people at the grassroots level. So I said, let's develop the domestic thing. When we were developing domestic first-class cricket and making sure that it takes place according to certain plan and period, that we on the Domestic Monitoring Committee with Hanif Mohammed and other association members, we came and thought that continuity, to attract interest, one needs to think in terms of more than that. And I said, why not a one-day tournament? Like the Kerry Packers series. And we have the one-day tournament developed. And the people, except for Hanif Mohammed, the people who were there at the Domestic Monitoring Committee said, it's not going to work, Mr. Memon. Nobody is going to come and watch a one-day tournament between local teams. Who's going to spend that time? Who's going to spend that money and all that? I said, let me start. Just give me an opportunity to start that one day. So they agreed to me 2 years later. And I tell you, the person responsible for agreeing to these things was Nur Khan. He used to call me, Air Marshal, he used to call me merchant. He never called me Memon. He said, you're a good merchant. You can sell your ideas. So he used to call me merchant, and he said, all right. And he said, Arif, let's go by this, no matter what the cost to the board. And we started the first tournament, 81. The first final, obviously there was no crowd in the daily matches, but in the semi-finals and final, few thousand people did came. In Gaddafi Stadium in the final, between PIA and UBL, we had about 15,000 people. But then it became a cliffhanger, and the decision was between 5 last runs in the last over. That made the thing go. The Wills Cup was there to be established. 1, 2, 3 years running, PIA was the winner. Then became the competition. Banks wanted to throw PIA out, the National Bank, the Habib Bank, the UBL. UBL were contesting all the time, coming into the final and losing, coming into the final and losing. The 4th year, they ultimately won. And my chairman used to say, very unlucky, but consistently striving to get the Wills Cup coveted trophy in their hand. They didn't manage. And these were the things that happened, and my concept of the one day and attracting crowd became more and more because then the crowd started liking the one-day tournaments all over the place. I didn't place it in only Karachi. I went to other areas because by that time we had developed Gujranwala, we had developed Sialkot, we had developed Sheikhupura, we had developed Faisalabad, Sialkot, Peshawar. All these grounds are available. And it came by the 9th Wills Cup. People were fighting with me to allocate the semi-finals and the final. And I used to sort of look, we'll have to be on merit. What can you offer to the board will be the merit. You offer the money to the board and take the final. I'm not interested in the money. I want the board's coffer to be increasing because of Wills. And what sort of a promotion we are going to do? We're going to really promote in terms of prize monies and all that. And you will have a tournament and the people will come over. One chap from Hyderabad, once he was not interested in his Tekidar, the one who does the gate selling and all that, he came over and said, Memon Saab, you give me the semi-final and I give the board for every pool match 3,000 rupees. If you give me 5 pool matches and a semi-final, I'll give them more than 25,000 rupees to the board. Look, go and offer it to the board. I'm willing to encourage my tournament in Hyderabad. I'm willing to encourage it in Sheikhupura if they want. All these bodies, they started coming to me because the tournament has grown. And by the 9th Wills Cup, it was a tremendous fight between associations. And ultimately, Gujranwala division won it. And it was my dream come true. I never thought that Gujranwala crowd will host a final in which 20,000 people, as if they were watching West Indies-Pakistan cricket match. Jam-packed crowd. And who were playing? UBL versus Habib Bank. To my surprise, my theory of the amateur versus professional level worked.
Right. Your memories, sir, Colonel Naushad, of the
Well, I
of
still
the Wills
remember
Cups.
this tournament, Wills Cup. It used to be a prestige point between the departments. Basing on this winning or losing, making a strong team for this one-day tournament, the owners or head of the department, they used to go after the young cricketers, the budding cricketers, and those who can win the game for them. And that was a sort of competition. It give them so much of finances to the youngsters, incoming youngsters, and then also some prestige to the department as well. I mean, for example, Habib Bank used to be had a tough fight against PIA. I mean, Habib Bank and PIA were the two very strong teams. And when they used to play, there used to be jump-packed crowds, whether the match was played in Sialkot, Gujranwala, or Karachi or Lahore. So what I'm trying to say, I mean, this became a sort of tournament where people used to wait for it for around the year for the cricketing season. When the season comes, the matches start, people start counting which player is going to play over whom, and then basing on this, that came also the point that a player should be registered about 3 months before the tournament if he wants to change the loyalty from one player, one department to the other department. There were certain rules were made for that.
Yeah. I mean, being able to get people on board, you need the necessary interpersonal skills, which clearly you had. You had to make a lot of people happy. You needed to convince them that yes, this is worth getting involved in. This is worth investing in. But you also had, when it came to developing the game on the ground, like when you talk about Hyderabad, for example, I mean the scoreboards. I mean, I've read about this. I mean, it was in an atrocious state. And the seating arrangements as well. I mean, they just simply weren't good enough. Training umpires, all these things is something that you had to get involved in as well.
The reason was very simple. If you want to develop a product, you need to see that the product is developed from all around. You see, you can't leave just the game to be playing in areas where there are no facilities for watching. You see, the Wills Cup was a classic example. When the Wills Cup was played in National Stadium, Karachi, the pool matches, there were only 2 people serving them, a biryani wala and chana jor garam, and a bottler, Coca-Cola, Fanta, this, that. And there was nobody else. And when it came to the 9th Wills Cup semi-final, this man brought in 5 legs of biryani. Was looking forward to the fact that this time in the semi-final there will be really a good crowd. And the Karachi Cricket Association chaps, they thought this is the time to make money. All these things, they were an incentive to everybody as an economic activity. With the economic activity comes the fact that you're providing facilities, you're providing seating capacity, you're providing eating facilities, we still don't have a periphery in any of our ground. Periphery like other grounds has, where you can move around, have your own bite, have your own taste of food stalls. You can go around and have your say, wherever you want to eat, wherever you want to pick up a drink. That sort of facilities still need to be built around our stadiums. And we were trying to do all that in a very short span, about 10 to 20 years. It requires further follow-up by others also to build up on that. But yes, that decision to communicate to the people around who were making decision at the board, at the association, they had relied on me and they realized that I am sincere to the game and I am sincere to the association and the participating team and to the board.
How did you deal with pushback, sir, when people disagreed with you, when they tried to maybe, I guess, thwart what you were trying to do? I'm sure there were people coming up to you saying you've never played cricket, so therefore you shouldn't be so involved in this capacity. You even had, certain very, very influential people saying that this departmental cricket doesn't work. How did you deal with that sort of?
It was very simple. The people at the helm of the affairs, they knew my abilities over a period of time, and they started giving me that credibility. And once that credibility was there, they knew I can deliver. They knew that whatever I say, I will do it, I'll deliver it. To the extent that some people thought that I'm the managing director of Pakistan Tobacco Company. I take the decision. The fact of the matter is, never that I go beyond the limits I was given as advertising manager in the company. I had a budget to follow, I had a budget to look after, all that thing, they never knew. Because they thought the decision takes place like that. Javed Miadar comes and asks for 40,000 increase in the prize money, the next day is done. Who took the decision? Nobody knows. But the fact remains that the trust was there in Taher Memon, who is the face of the sponsorship man. So whatever you're saying as why did I manage it because of my relationship. When it came to debating in the monitoring committee, I debated, I gave them convincing points, and I said, I leave it to you because you're the decision maker. I'm a member of the tournament committee, domestic monitoring committee, but I don't have much of the say except that I can tell you if you do this, this is what happen. Right. Based on the previous experiences, they said, all right, whatever Tahir is saying, yes, that's right.
Naushad Sahab, development is continuous. You have to keep at it and adapt according to the times. Something that I think many would argue, and quite rightly, Pakistan cricket hasn't been able to do, especially at the domestic level. At the international level, it's unfortunate that we lost cricket in 2009. Now we've seen with this PSL, playing 8 games in Karachi, cricket is slowly coming back, and international players and teams are probably now feeling more confident about coming to Pakistan. But this, you understand, being involved in the game for most of your life, that it's a continuous process.
It is a continuous process. It's not just like this. I mean, you start, do something, and then all of a sudden you stop. No, it can't happen like this. You see, the cricket is growing so fast, and it's so modernized. It's so much of money now. People will talk about it a lot. I mean, there was a tournament being held in Pakistan or in IPL. The people say that it's worth $1 billion now, money for the one segment of the IPL. So the same is happening to Pakistan. I mean, when they started, they had nothing in that. But that's financially, of course, it has got now so much of attraction for the players, attraction for the administration, attraction for the Pakistan Cricket Board, and attraction for the government as well. The people remain busy, and then they appreciate the conditions. On the other technical point of view, Yes, cricket has also developed a lot. It is not the same cricket where we used to be 5-day test matches. It gradually came on to the ODI, and then of course from ODI it has shifted to the T20 and now T10. So this is all being modernizing. The shots are different, the bowling spells are different now, and then to counter that, the batsmen are using the different techniques. And same is goes to the players and to the management and to the think tanks also. What we see in the PSL recently.
Tahir Memon Sahib, in your opinion, how have things changed now? I mean, there's no doubt that cricket and marketing has changed dramatically with T20 cricket. There's a lot more involvement, a lot more competition. How do things stand now, in your opinion?
I think it has progressed very well. I think it's progressed to the extent that now we have a complete different set of rules for everything, including marketing. And I think in the marketing, we have progressed to the extent where it's now a multi-million-dollar business. It's no more left to one sponsor. It got so many people coming in and participating in so many ways. Even if you look at it, that and the franchisees, you've got 6 franchises, you've got 60 sponsors of those franchises. We have television channels sponsoring the things. You've got everything progressed very well. Now what you need to do is progress on the development of the boys, academies, teaching facilities, grooming them in terms of language, in terms of abilities to talk, communicate, because they're all coming from villages.
Right.
You need to groom them, you need to provide them with all sorts of development things. You need to also provide them academies where they can prove their worth by practicing. I tell you that when you look at Indian cricket, you realize that their batsmen, they work 8 hours, 10 hours a day. Our batsmen come in and have 2 overs, 3 overs, 10 overs of the outside.
Right.
No.
Well, no, this should be a fascinating book, Another Perspective, and that's exactly what it is, to understand how the game progressed and developed in Pakistan, how it was taken into the contemporary world, and that's because of you, Taher Memon Sahib. Thank you very much for writing this book, and I'm sure everybody will enjoy reading it. Now let's move on to, and we have to be brief here, our second topic. We have to discuss the upcoming one-days between Pakistan and Australia. It should be exciting because we've got some new faces in there. When you talk of guys like Abid Ali, Syed Ali, then the young fast bowler.
This is a very important tour for Pakistan. I mean, no doubt they are playing in a UAE, particularly in Sharjah, but this is the last chance for the Pakistan selectors, Pakistan team management, Pakistan coach to decide about the final lineup for the World Cup squad. They have rested 5 of your best players. They have included 5 of your new youngsters also. But we have to see that how they perform against a strong Australian side who have beaten recently Indians in India. So this will be a tough series. Pakistan cannot take the chances, and they have to play their best available side among the players. But I think this is the right decision. This is not a very right decision to have Sarfraz Ahmed just present in the dressing room. He should have been part of the team, watching the boys onto the ground.
Tahir Sahib, you were involved in building the game in Pakistan cricket, but I also know that you're a cricket enthusiast. Having gone through your book, I see all these names here, and we even talked about their skill and their genius, like Abdul Qadir, for example. I was just reading a passage about Qadir, how he destroyed England, and I think Graham Gooch was there on that. I think he might have been the captain, I'm not sure, maybe it was Gatting. Your thoughts on this Pakistani one-day side? And this is a very important topic right now because the World Cup's around the corner.
Let me put it to you this way, that this new board is experimenting on use of young and new boys. It is essential to build up a team of youngsters. They have found number of youngsters during this PSL tournaments, and they have lots of talent at hand. Now to decide, the selection committee to decide, they'll have to try till the time of the World Cup. And this opportunity, Australia versus Pakistan, is another opportunity to try other boys and see how they perform and what sort of we can get out of it. saying that we are resting Sarfraz is a good thing. Rest him, all right. He will be available to the boys to advise. If not as a playing 11, at least in the dressing room. Also, let's see that are we developing a vice captain somewhere? What sort of a development are we taking place? And what, at the end of this tournament, March 31st, what will our selectors have on their plate to take a decision for the final World Cup team? I know it's a difficult one. There's lots of criticism, this and that, but I feel that the only thing that I feel as a change is that we have two top good administrators. Hassan Mani as the chairman, who is straight away delegated the responsibility to the managing director, who has got 3 years of being a CEO in England and a county, and who was headhunted for being CEO of ECB. He has passionately decided to come to Pakistan. I think he has a passion for developing Pakistani game. So I think merit should prevail under these circumstances.
No doubt about
that. And if merit prevails, I have no reason to see that our team will be a weaker team. Yes, there will be criticism of why not him and why not that. That is what our mental attitude, our tendencies have been.
Right.
But I go beyond that.
Absolutely.
I said, please accept it and accept the version of the selectors, because they are responsible for
We're about to end the show, so I need to get some a prediction here from Colonel Naushad and, of course, Taher Memon Saab. It's not going to be easy with this young side. Pakistan doesn't have the best record in the UAE, and Australia have just beaten India in a recent one-day series in dramatic fashion. So,
well, I think
I'll
still say that at Sharjah and in Dubai, under the present circumstances with Shah Malik leading the side, Pakistan has fair chances to win the series.
What do you think, sir?
I think it will be a good, tough fight. The good team on a particular day will win a match, and the outcome is obviously it has to be 3-2. That's what I predict.
Pakistan? Yeah.
Pakistan.
Well, I don't know, I mean, this won't be very popular, but if we're just talking cricket here and leaving patriotism aside, I feel Australia is going to take the series because of the way they won against India and their record against Pakistan in the UAE is a lot better. I'm not sure if we've ever beaten Australia in a one-day series in the UAE, a bilateral one-day series. Final thoughts, sir, then we have to wrap up.
Mind you, the pitches in Sharjah and Dubai are quite different to pitches they were playing with India. And these pitches, somehow or the other, they still need to be the batting wickets, purely batting wickets for the one-day series.
Sure, they are a bit slow.
They are a bit slow at times. They are a very good pitch at times. But this differentiation between match to match that's why I'm predicting 3-2 Pakistan.
Right. Well, when it comes to wickets, there has to be good balance between bat and ball. We've got to leave it at that, gentlemen. Thank you very much for coming to the show. It was a pleasure having you both on.
Thank you for calling us in, and thank you for discussing my book. I think it has a number of things for new and upcoming generation to look at. Somebody said, will it give any training to the youngsters? That you need to decide whether you can learn anything out of it. I made an attempt that it becomes a learning point. If not, at least it is there in posterity to talk about what has happened over the 20 years.
Well, it was very interesting and lots of fun discussing this with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That's all we have time for. Keep watching Sports Extra on PTV World. See you next time. Bye-bye.